Good day and welcome to another edition of Sunday School with Aunty Pé. So this week, hi, I'm Aunty Pé. First thing first, hi, I'm Aunty Pé. So this week we're going to talk about the Great Flood, or what happened during the Great Flood. Now we are going to meet some heroes over the next part, some heroes over the next course of the weeks, that upcoming weeks. Now, one of our heroes of the Bible is Noah. And Noah did something great and grand during the Great Flood. And one of the things that Noah is well known for is building the ark, right? For those of you who don't know, an ark is just a really, really big boat. And God gave instructions to Noah, and Noah was quite obedient. He built the ark using the dimensions that God would have given him to do certain things. Now you may be wondering, why would Noah need an ark? Why Noah need a big boat? Why God would tell Noah to even build a boat? So during this session, what we will do is discover why all those things are happening. So let's first watch a short video to tell us a little bit more about Noah.
Stories of the Bible. Noah. This is Noah. Noah is in the Hall of Fame because he listened to God. God created the whole universe. He created the sun and moon and stars, the sky above and the sea below. God created the animals and the people. Over time, the people on earth began to do bad things because they didn't listen to God. There was only one man in all the earth who was different because he listened to God. That man was Noah. So God told Noah to build an ark. He told Noah exactly how to build the ark, and it was to be the biggest boat ever built. God told Noah to build an ark for his family and the animals to live on during the flood. When the ark was ready, God told Noah to load everyone into a large boat. They entered in pairs, each with another of its kind. After 7 days, it started to rain. The underground waters erupted from the earth, and the rain fell in mighty torrents from the sky. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights, and then stopped. Many days later, Noah sent out a dove to find dry land, but the dove came back. After 7 days, Noah sent out the dove again, and it returned with a branch. After 7 more days, Noah released the dove again. This time, it did not return. This made Noah think the dove found dry land where it could rest. Noah lifted the covering of the boat and saw that the surface of the ground was dry. Noah trusted in God's plan, and God protected his family during the flood. Now, the flood had come and gone, and Noah, his family, and all of the animals walked on land again. Noah built an altar and sacrificed burnt offerings to the Lord. God was pleased with Noah's sacrifice and made a promise to Noah that he would never again destroy the earth and every living thing with a flood. God put a rainbow in the sky to remind Noah and all mankind of this promise.
All right, so that was Noah. Let's just turn this off. Right. So as we would have met Noah, who at this point in time, we would have known that last week we learned that God created the earth within 7 days. And everything that God created was good. Now God created mankind. And mankind in its creation was very good. Man in its creation was good. But just like us, back in those days, people tend to do some wrong things. But it's not just some wrong things. They did a lot of wrong and bad things. So God decided, listen, this not working. You doing wrong things. I didn't create you to do wrong things. So something have to go on and something have to give. The people did not turn from their bad ways, and they continue to do bad. So instead of turning and doing good things and asking God for forgiveness, they just continue doing bad things. Isn't that crazy? Because if God asks me to stop doing things bad, and I mean, if God tells me stop doing bad things, I'm going to stop doing the bad things. But these people of the earth decided, I like being bad, so I'm going to be bad. Now, Noah, on the other hand, in all the earth, Noah was the only good left in the earth. So God decided to spare Noah and his children. Now, at the time, Noah had 3 sons. And the 3 sons had wives. So God said to Noah, take your sons' wives, and you build an ark for them. Now, one of the craziest parts of the story for me is Noah was 500 years old. 500 years. That's a lot, and that's a really old man. So how did God expect this old man to go and build an ark? Now, an ark is a really, really big boat. So, God told Noah to build the ark. Noah didn't ask, but God, I'm old, so I can't really build a boat. Noah said, okay, Lord, and he went and he built his boat. God gave him the dimensions. God gave him everything that he needed to build the boat. After the boat was finished, God told Noah to take 2 of every kind of animal of the earth, 1 male and 1 female, and take them onto the ark, and there he would protect them. So on the ark, so far on the ark we have Noah, Noah's sons, Noah's sons' wives. All right. Now we have animals of every single kind, from the tallest of animals to the smallest of animals, all going on this boat with Noah. After 7 days of completion of the ark, God flooded the earth. So it rained, and 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 then it rained some more. And then when it thought it was done, no, it rained some more. And it continued to rain for 40 days and 40 nights. And the rain came and it flooded the entire earth. So, remember we learned that there was the separation of the earth, the land, and the water. There was no more land. Only water, and Noah floating on top of the water in his ark. Now, I want to link this to what's happening with us in COVID. Because Noah stayed in the boat while it rained for 40 days. He stayed on the boat for about 7 months. The earth was flooded for about 7 months. Right now, we are going through this pandemic for the last 7 months in Trinidad and Tobago, from our first case in March to now. We have been on lockdown, whether semi-lockdown or not. We have been in our homes, our own little ark, safe and sound and dry, just as Noah was safe and sound and dry. We've been inside. So our obedience protected us and protects us, just like Noah's obedience to God protected him. Now, after all this, after all the flood, God told Noah sent a dove. He sent a dove out into the world, and the dove came back, and there was nothing in the dove, on the dove mouth, anything to suggest that the waters had receded. Now, Noah said, okay, I'm going to wait a week. Kind of sounding familiar, right? Remember how we wait 2 weeks before we open up anything? So, Noah waited 1 week, and then he sent the dove again. And the dove came back with an olive branch. So that means there are trees somewhere. Somewhere out there are trees. Right? And just like with our COVID restrictions, after 2 weeks, we see, okay, nobody's getting sick, nobody's getting sicker. We are at the same level, we are maintaining the same level. So we can open up a little more things. Okay? So you'll see how right now being safe and being obedient is helping Noah. And just like with us, being safe and being obedient is helping us because now we have a little more freedom. So after another week, after the dove came back with the olive branch, and another week went by, Noah released the dove. Now the dove did not come back. So this made Noah realize that, okay, there is land out there. So he opened up the entire ark and realized that the waters had gone down. So at that point, Noah said, okay, we can leave the ark. We can safely leave the ark because there is no more flood. And when he did that, he didn't just leave the ark and say, you know what, all right, well, I'm safe, cool, I'm safe and sound. He left the ark and he built an altar and gave thanks to God. And in giving thanks to God, God decided that this was a good offering. So in those days, when you wanted to give thanks, you gave offering. And it would mostly be like a sheep or a goat that you would have reared just for God. And you would have given burnt offerings. Now we don't necessarily do burnt offerings. We give like tithe and we give money. So he created an altar and he gave burnt offerings to God. And God said that it was good. So because of this, God made a promise. He made a promise that he will never, ever, ever flood the earth again. And as a reminder of this promise, we have a rainbow. And this promise, and every time you see a rainbow, I want you to think of the promise that God made to never, ever flood the earth again. So this leads us to today's craft and our craft activity. So our craft activity is really, really simple. In the comments below, I would have created an attachment that you can download and print for today's activity and today's craft. So here's what you will need. You will need to see the screen because you're not seeing the screen right now. You will need to print the file, the attached file, one brass tab. So a brass tab looks like this. Okay, and there's also a picture there, and color pencils. So the printed file has a circle looking like this. One side has a rainbow, and one side has the rain. All right. So the colors, firstly, you will color this sheet. Now, coloring the rainbow is a really fun activity, and you will learn what are the colors of the rainbow. So the colors of the rainbow are red, orange, yellow, green, and it was blue, and you will split that last one into two colors. To me, it's indigo or a darker blue and violet. So I'll repeat it again. So it's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. So it looks something like this. So you see my red, my orange, my yellow, my green, my blue, my indigo, and violet. Okay? And we remember that the rainbow is God's promise to never, ever, ever flood the earth again. And if you flip it over, you will have your rain clouds. So I want you to color your rain clouds to me. You can color it gray because, I mean, it's thunderstorm. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. So it's raining for a long time. So we know we're not going to see white clouds. So we're going to have our rain and our raindrops. So we have a nice little circle. One side, rainbow. The other side, rain. And attached on the second page of the attachment is our ark. And our ark says, God keeps his promises. So you will color your ark, just as I did. Color your ark. and keep your ark. Now, when you finish coloring both these things, you cut them out. So you have two, oh, that's upside down. You have two cutouts and colored sheets. So one sheet is your circle with your rain clouds and your rainbow, and the next is your ark. What you're doing is your ark has a circle or a dot in the middle. You're taking the brass tab and inserting it through that circle or dot for me. Insert it and stick it through. Also on your circle, there's also a dot. What you're doing is sticking the brass. You're not taking it off of the ark, but you're sticking it straight through. So now we have the ark looking like this with the rainbow or whichever side you entered in first. Now the thing about a brass tab is that it splits. So behind, I want you to take one of the legs of the brass tab and flatten it this way, and then take the next side and flatten it the other way. So this would allow so your paper will not fall through. It's locked in there. So now we have our promise, our reminder of God's promise, and also our reminder of Noah being obedient. So you can now spin your disc and see that God flooded the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. So rain is falling for our 40 days and 40 nights. Now after our 40 days and 40 nights, the rain stopped, but the earth was still flooded. So for 7 months, Noah and they were in this ark. All right? And then as time goes along and the water continues to recede, time passed and they came off of the ark and they offered thanksgiving and burnt offerings to God. And because of this, and because Noah was obedient, God would have seen this and said, that burnt offering is good. So he gave us a rainbow to remind us of his promise that he will never, ever flood the earth again. And that's our craft. So I want you all to take away something from me from today. Today's takeaway is obedience and promises. So by Noah being obedient to God and Noah doing what is right and what is commanded of him, he was spared. He was spared and he was kept dry and safe. So I want you all to, in your obedience, listen to your parents, listen to the advice of the Ministry of Health, listen to the advice that is being given about our COVID restrictions, and we will be just like Noah, kept safe. All right? We will be kept safe. And we also have the promise from God that no matter how long you think it's going to be raining, no matter how much time you see it flooding, we know that God will never ever flood the earth in the way that he would have flooded the earth like in Noah's day. And we know this because every time after the rain stops, regardless of if it's after 1 hour, 2 hours, 2 days, or 3 days, the rain will stop and there is a rainbow to remind us of God's promise to never, ever flood the earth. So today, I hope that you go off learning to be obedient and knowing that God keeps his promises. Join me next week for Aunty Pé. See y'all.